Okay, time being 6:35, I call the Halifax Planning Board into session. Members Jonathan Sirocco and Carlos are absent. On the agenda, we have 7:30 Autumn Lane, Don Triani, update on subdivision. 6:40, we have Pasture Lane, Adam Murray, update on road repairs. Discussion, we have Franklin Street solar access to the site through the estate lot. We have zoning bylaws to go over. Set a date for the Postmaster for a meeting about the post office kiosk boxes. Set a date for the public hearing for the bylaw changes. And we have a meeting with the Zoning Board of Appeals, of which we have 2 members present. Then we have minutes. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as read?
Make the motion to accept the agenda as read.
To a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, we don't have anybody here from Autumn Lane or Pasture Lane. So, I'd like to welcome the 2 members of the zoning board here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Like we could open some discussion on what you guys had come before you as far as the Franklin Street.
Yes.
So you had a question as to whether or not what they were looking for was to get a petition from you?
As far as I know, the discussion went of whether or not an easement could be requested and approved for that lot for access to the back, as you well know, and whether or not an easement on the definition of the state would be acceptable, I guess, you know.
But were they looking for a variance?
It wasn't a variance, Jerry, was it?
I'm not sure, but there was a variance. They were saying that an easement was going to be issued. And our problem was what was discussed at the planning board, because he couldn't give us an answer as to what you actually said was happening. He said it was going to be issued. So we don't know if it was issued or it wasn't issued.
Okay.
And then there was a dispute as to, at one point, the 2 lots were 1 lot, and that's apparently what you approved. And that was some of the members or the people, the people who live adjacent to the property. They were saying that, you know, now they've changed it. Now they're trying to get a lot so they can build on it and an easement.
Okay.
So it changed, so we don't know what you actually approved or how it came down, so that's what we
But I understand that that lot was under agreement, but has not been sold,
Okay.
the separate one.
Okay, so we pulled out the stuff for Franklin Street, I think. So that we could go over what we did approve. So the site plan should be in there.
There were a couple of abutters that were present,
Yeah.
you all know. And it got to a yes it did, no it didn't, yes it did, no it didn't, so.
I'm just not sure if that is the entire piece of,
That was the argument, which is that
It's never gonna be two
Yeah,
separate
it's
lots.
never gonna be two separate lots. Right. This, yes?
These are the two lots. This is 0 and I think it's that.
This is the existing house. This is the bonus property here.
Oh, so it's further down.
Okay.
It's further down Franklin.
Mackenzie's path would be a little further up this way.
Yes, would be up
This
that way,
this would
so.
be the roadway coming into the solar, right through here.
And this is
I
an
thought it was on
existing.
the other side of the bonus.
And this is the bonus on this side. So the bonus driveway goes right in here.
With the white gate in front of it, the white fence, right?
I don't remember if it has
Yeah,
one.
this might help, yeah.
You gotta,
Here's Mackenzie's path.
yeah.
There's the bonus here. This is that last house. And there's actually not a house for a while up here.
So what house lot are they talking about?
Yeah,
It's actually gonna be right
Right-
here where this,
right
the
here.
the
So
building
that's the
is.
Form A, right?
Yep.
Oh, so if this, they were gonna sell this,
So this is gonna be a common driveway, is what they were looking for. And this, that would allow this house here, but not according to our bylaws, you can't have a common driveway.
Right.
but it wouldn't be a common driveway. It would be a driveway
well, it's a,
with an
bu-
easement.
it's a business in the back. It's not like, just like telephone poles out there. There's equipment out there. That's a business that's being operated out there, the solar field.
That's basically how it was explained to us that, yes, there is equipment and whatnot out there now, but once it's all over and done with, this access or this easement would only be used
Once a
what is it,
month.
once a month.
Yeah.
Go
To
out,
go
check
out
the
to
property,
service
turn
the,
around and come back. There isn't a operations bill.
That's so that the public can see what we're proposing for a change, and we have a public hearing on that. They can come in and make their comments. If they say that we need to change something and we decide we're gonna change it, then we can change that.
Isn't it too late to change it at that point?
No, we can bring it up as a amendment for the,
At the actual,
at the actual meeting.
So we can't change the language that's gonna be in the
In the print.
advertisement?
And that's what's gonna be printed on the warrant too.
Yeah, okay.
But it might, like, somebody might come in that we might think, oh, this bylaw would be great, and somebody might come in and change our mind too.
Yeah.
So do we have a motion to set the date for the public hearing?
Motion to set the date of September 19th for a public hearing to hear all bylaw changes. I would like to add to that motion that the deadline to get any bylaw changes into the selectmen would be August 13th, 2019
What is that?
for the public hearing. They have to, so the selectmen have to get the bylaws, any changes, so that we can discuss them on the 15th, so that we can send them into print, so that they make the
So
hearing.
we're asking that they provide language to us by the 13th.
Yes.
If anybody else that has
Anybody,
any
a
changes.
resident Halifax
Sure.
that might have a bylaw change. So do you want me to restate that motion, or
I'm trying to word that
is
right
it,
now.
is it too wordy?
Okay.
Hold the public hearing.
Any
I tried.
recommendations?
Here, hi, Bob.
She can take most of it off the tape too. You
Yeah.
wanna re-clarify it?
Can I'm gonna take that motion off the table so that we can re-clarify it.
Okay.
Right? So, for any residents of Halifax that, I'm gonna make a motion to let the Halifax residents know that any bylaws that need to be, that they'd like to be changed, need to get those changes in with 100 signatures to the selectmen by August 13th, 2019, so that the selectmen can get those to us by August 15th, 2019, so that we can prep and have printed all of the proposed changes in the papers to meet the hearing date of September 19th, 2019.
So I have a motion for a hearing for September 19th to hold a public hearing. Is there a second?
Point of clarification, are we asking that anybody that wants to have any recommendation or suggestion accompany that recommendation with 100 signatures?
To the select.
Because it has to, yeah. So in order for the selectmen to recommend or tell us that we have to have the public hearing, they have to have a thing from the clerk that has 100 signatures.
For the
Because
public.
it's a special town meeting.
For the public. It
For
doesn't change
each
here.
one?
For each,
I
for
just-
each bylaw change.
For
I
each
just-
requested parties bylaw change?
Yes.
Signature.
I wanted to make sure the public knew about that.
Yeah, I got
You
you.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I know it's lengthy, sorry.
No, that's all right. I get that.
And they're gonna get it to us the day of the 15th, that we will have to draft on the fly and vote
No,
on?
no, we don't draft it. That's their,
No, but we're,
that's their proposal. That's what's gonna get in the paper. We're just gonna be able to see that. We're not gonna change their proposal. Their proposal's theirs.
oh, so if we wanna make our own recommendations, we have to have ours in by the 13th
No.
to the selectmen?
No.
We're special.
Not the planning board,
Yeah. Okay.
but the residents of Halifax need to have them in by the 13th with 100 signatures.
And then whatever the selectmen send us will automatically be in the bylaw or in the town meeting regardless? We're not helping adjust or craft those ones?
We're gonna hold a public hearing on it. We're gonna have discussion on it. If people come in and make recommendations, then when we go to town meeting, we can make a recommendation to change it.
But my point being,
But we're not gonna change the wording.
so
for the
somebody,
warrant.
so somebody submits something by the 13th to the selectmen. I want the zoning to be written this way. Comes with 100 signatures, the selectmen say, great, fine. They give that to us on the 15th. That is going, is that
Into the
going to
paper.
be into the paper regardless of what we do or discuss? Right, and then whatever we discuss on our own, separate and distinct from those, will also go in the paper, however it's discussed and worded. Okay. So there could potentially be different proposed wordings on the same section of the zoning bylaws.
Could be.
Coming in from different parties.
Well, the same party might do the same thing with like slight variations. Good times.
And then we'll have a hearing on that. We'll open it up to the public for discussion. We'll have discussion on it. And then we make a recommendation on those bylaws at the town meeting.
Yes, but whatever we discuss on the 15th, that would be the wording that goes in, however it's discussed, right? So we need to come prepared with whatever our language is there, and then we collectively will make a single recommendation on how we, the planning board, recommend the bylaw to be written.
Correct.
Can the warrants be printed with everything recommended after our meeting on the 19th, or no? Because then it would have to be in the paper again, right? No,
It's too late, it needs to be noticed prior to that.
you hear what I'm trying to say?
It won't have your recommendation in it. It'll say recommended at town meeting.
Recommendation given at town meeting.
But the ones posted on the 15th, or the ones discussed on the 15th, will have a recommendation.
Technically, no, because
No, we won't have a recommendation until we have the public hearing.
you guys could all agree on it, but you still have to hold a public hearing to get the public's input, and then you have to make your recommendation.
Okay.
It will say,
Yeah, no, I get it, yeah.
it'll say proposed by the planning board,
Yeah.
and then the other ones,
Recommendation at town meeting,
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So is there a second for the motion? I'm gonna
Yes.
ask it again.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cramping up. Hi.
Thank you, Mark.
You got it.
So Amy proposed, Alice second.
Okay. All in favor?
I didn't get your vote.
We don't have to do it again, do we?
So if we distribute draft,
Building, or it's just a, I think it's a requirement, right? How it was,
They have to once a month.
they have to
just
once a
check
month
the
just
systems,
go out
make
and
sure
say,
it's
yep,
working.
it's still there.
Yep.
So he did say during the construction of the framework and whatnot, yes, there is gonna be equipment and stuff out there, but once it's all over and done with. That's how I understood it.
Yeah, the thing I thought was strange is when we did this, they had plans for access over here. This kind of shows
Correct,
the
yeah,
whole
that's where
property.
the
And
wetlands.
since they decided not to, they decided to put the access over here.
Right.
Which I was surprised that they were gonna come back and use this lot as
A
an
buildable
actual
lot, yeah.
buildable lot. So I thought the whole reasoning behind putting the access here is they were gonna abandon the idea of any other house lots and use this as their access,
And
as
that's what
opposed
that's
to.
what
Mr.
it
DeBonne
was.
was saying. Where did
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, selling a house lot
Yeah.
come from? This wasn't part of our discussion.
I didn't think so. I thought they were essentially losing the house lot to gain the easy access.
Correct. That's what
And that
everyone
made
else thought.
perfect sense for them, rather than constructing this, for the cost of that construction, lose a house lot. And that seems like a reasonable thing to do.
So since I wasn't here during that time, did the person who has the solar field divide that all up and do that to themselves, or?
Kind of, so they owned where the solar field is and this lot.
Okay.
So I looked at it like they were.
And this?
Yeah,
Well, you can
yeah.
see right here, it says
Well,
Conoco
The Form
Engine
A sort of makes them,
LLC.
And then they ran into because of
That's
the
right there.
wetlands and whatnot,
Okay, I can't
going,
see
going.
Yeah, but didn't he say that they don't own that lot?
No, no, he said at one point it was under agreement, and then it is not.
This one,
So if they own that lot,
this one says now or formerly of Conoco Energy LLC. This one says Springer Construction in the back. So that says they owned this, Springer owned that. I mean, this is what was presented to us.
As a buildable lot or just,
No, as their plan,
as a no house lot up there.
yeah.
This was, the house lot was an afterthought.
Well, I
Or
think,
I thought that the house lot existed previously, but they were willing to abandon the idea of building on it to
To
put
get
the
this in.
road as opposed to putting the road here.
So-
Because they needed this for their access.
Right.
They, Springer owned this.
Okay,
But-
let me ask you this though. I kind of thought, it was my impression that even though this is two different people, they did own that, or they do now.
That's it.
Right,
It's
because
what
they're
it
the
said when
ones,
they presented the plan that they owned it.
that they're the ones that would be selling the house lot. So let me ask you this, if they did in fact own both the back section and the house lot, and even if they subdivided that, could they make that as the current owner, a condition with the easement running through that property? Because since they own it, they have the right to apply for an easement. And you can even put conditions on it, that it could only be used, if it meets the requirements of an easement / right of way, or an easement is a right of way. But that was
That's their frontage for this back piece. The only other frontage they have over here, and this is illusionary frontage if they can't use it. So this is their frontage.
that's it.
That's it.
The other does not count as their frontage.
Well, it's frontage there, but unless they make that usable, our bylaws say you must enter over your frontage. So if they take this off, it's not part of their frontage.
That's how I would see it. If they
Sold that
sold
off.
this off, they would have to build the road.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna do that.
Who grants the easement?
See, I'm not sure if you're really granting an easement if it's the
He told
only,
us
if
that it
it's
was
the,
being,
It could
that
be
it was
written
being
into the
issued.
deed.
it just,
which will be an issue with the mortgage company if all of a sudden there's gonna be it doesn't matter if they say once a month, if a truck's gonna be going back to a solar field, then the mortgage company is gonna look at the deed and have an issue with it. Most
Yeah.
The
times.
mortgage company won't give a mortgage to any piece of
Fannie
property
Mae,
with an
Freddie Mac.
easement on it?
Fannie Mae, no, depending on what it is, it devalues it. There's like certain conditions like that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac put on
Oh, yeah,
underwriters.
like a utility easement or
yeah,
something.
that's
to that
usually
effect.
what you'd see for an easement. Like typically, we would never grant anyone access to a lot only with their easement, unless they were landlocked. Here, they're not. They're kind of putting themselves in this position.
Yes.
They're almost taking their road away from themselves, as I see it. They have a road and they have the access to it. The second they sell that, they've imposed this on themselves.
Even if the easement is part of the deed that they sold it to the new boxes.
Yeah, and I just don't see how we could, if we allow them to use an easement as their access, we're not holding true to the idea that they're supposed to access through their frontage.
Whether or not that exists on the other side. If it's not being used, like what you say is illusionary, so.
So
It has to be
what it starts doing is now it really starts allowing access to other pieces of property that normally were never subdivided to accommodate for that.
If it was written into the deed.
Yeah,
So
then anybody,
There's plenty of easements in,
that's what I'm saying, so that means anyone with extra, well, not even extra frontage, anyone with 150 feet of frontage could grant a 50-foot easement and then you'd have a lot in the back.
can't they do that or no?
No. And that's kind of what they're trying to do here, in my mind.
That's why subdivision control came in.
So they're trying to keep the least amount of street frontage and then get all this buildable land out back. And we have a lot of things to keep that from happening as far as our bylaws go. But
Well, and I think that makes it cut and dry.
Yeah, I mean, they're creating their own hardship.
yes, I believe
Well,
so.
hardship, exactly.
I truly believe
Yeah.
that.
Because that's basically what they made it sound like, was this was an afterthought, or we can.
No,
couple-
and also understand that you're not really imposing anything harsh on them by denying them, because they always have the right to do this. It's probably not financially feasible, but they can. They're doing this because it's the cheapest.
Okay, let me ask you
route.
this then. If this in fact is a separate lot, and even like two different things, well, I was under the impression that they own the both, but are you, by denying the access, this is the access road to this lot here, are you deeming this lot useless, unusable?
No, because this lot by itself would be fine.
Language internally amongst ourselves beforehand, we're allowed to do that, right? It doesn't have to be considered a quorum or anything along those lines, right?
As long as we don't,
Discuss it.
right,
So it has to be a one-way discussion of here's my information, please don't tell me what you think until 15.
pretty much.
Okay.
But if a couple of people write it and send it in, then on the 15th, we should be able to put it together.
Yes. And I mentioned any clerical stuff, if we don't quite get it absolutely right on the 15th, we can address along the way.
Hopefully
Before
we'll
it
have a
goes in the paper.
secretary.
Yeah, like typos and stuff.
Yep. Okay. Here.
Carlos, did you get a new book?
I didn't. Did you wait till the bylaws are done?
I think there's one over here for you. Let's see.
What's changed?
Well, I just had them printed up from the town clerk, updated, certified.
Do you want to just give me an iPad with them already uploaded?
Well,
Thank you.
we just did the 167 and then 235, the subdivision.
Sure.
And we do have a copy of the whole bylaw up there on the end of that top shelf
Perfect.
for our use. Okay,
Can I ask one question before you guys adjourn?
what makes you think we're adjourned?
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do. See this envelope? We haven't touched this one.
With the cabling project that's going on in Town Hall, have you guys decided where you want to put the projector in this room?
Hey, the projector is actually not going to happen anymore. So the cost of actually installing it is too great. The technology's kind of outdated, and the discussion was to try to get one room that had that rather than having the planning board have one and a projector. The talk was to have one of the meeting rooms with a large enough screen.
I thought it was gonna do the whiteboard, the
Uh,
rolling. That's what he was talking about. That rolling board or something that he came up with.
I thought it was gonna be some sort of touch interactive TV or something.
Something that would roll around.
Maybe.
We don't have our meetings on the same nights. Why not just put it in the same room that we all share?
That's what I was saying. Rather than us all having one, we'll have one room that's capable
So
of.
that's, that, they couldn't put a drop-down screen and put the projector there for you?
Apparently no. Apparently it was like serious work. That was what we got.
Okay. Is that what the board likes for an answer, or no?
No, but I also didn't get the okay to like, hey, go ahead and plug that thing in, because I could probably do that. But when it came up to the cost and whatever, then I agreed of like, all right, maybe if the cost is that great, and apparently there was already a plan. I was under the impression there was already a plan to set one up in one of the other meeting rooms. That's why I said, then don't go through the expense of giving us our own if there is already a plan in place to have one in the building. We'll just use that if necessary.
The only reason I'm bringing it up, because at the selectmen's meeting, there's really no place to put a projector up if you have an audience. Because you're looking at the audience, and the only place to put the projector is either behind us
Yeah, which would.
or behind the audience.
Not the
Where
sidewall between the two doors. You can go in there.
I guess you could, but you've got poles there, so the view, at least from the clerk's position where I sit, is good. So I had asked about a while ago when I was, probably when you were on the finance committee, about the projector for in here.
We already own it, but we were told it would be too expensive to put it up.
But we bought it.
We already own it, we own the screen.
It's downstairs in the.
Yeah, there was also something about the fact that I don't know what that uses as far as technology goes, but I guess it's also like 9 years old. So like there was a question on if anyone was going to bring us a presentation, is it going to be on the medium that projector takes?
I think it had an HDMI port, so I would.
I don't know, but that was one of the parts of the discussion was the fact that it was old, because I didn't know that because it was before me, but
So do you guys want a projector in here?
I don't think that at great cost, we certainly don't need it. In the entire time that we've been here, nobody has brought one in. We don't actually make any of the presentations, and no one has ever brought anything, or tried to make a presentation that required a screen or anything like that.
The only reason why I asked is because of all the public records stuff that I've pulled over the past 3 years. Having electronic files of plans and making that a requirement would seem to be a good thing to have, because it's not a
for sure.
requirement. It's
Yeah.
not a requirement, so.
Doesn't mean they need to put it up on a board.
No, but like to have an electronic copy of the plans submitted with the plans that you guys get, and then if you wanted to look up something, because, I mean, you guys are scrolling through 8 pages here, and who's to say that that's the exact one with the less signature on it?
That might not be bad. Nowadays, probably everybody's got one. You know, years ago, I think it would have been tough to impose because there were still actual draftsmen, but now everything's a CAD program, I'm sure,
that's-
right?
That's a bigger IT management though issue if we're gonna get away from paper file and go to electronic.
So that was part of Carlos, that was part of Caesar's, he wants to bring in a online permitting process. So if you got electronic copies, we don't have to go that way, but I just think if you're gonna look at the bylaws and you're gonna make changes, one thing to the site plan or the subdivision plans, I would just request an electronic copy be submitted
But then
at the time.
we're gonna have to start getting into like types of files and everything. We'd have to be
PDF
specific,
files,
Yeah.
basically.
but we'd still have to be specific.
That's fine.
I like having paper files and electronic files.
I just thought it would, if you had the projector up here.
As long as this driveway
Oh
went
no, but
over
if you
here.
put the easement in, then now it's an access road, so this is useless.
Well, I don't know, I
It's one
wouldn't
or
call
the
it
other.
useless, they're using it for the driveway, it has a use. That gives them frontage to do this.
Right. So as a buildable lot, it's useless.
The loss of the value of this lot is less than the cost of constructing the road.
I would assume so.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's how I look at it. I interpret this plan as we are willing to lose a buildable lot as opposed to building a road on our frontage.
If in fact that is a buildable lot, I don't,
Yes.
you know what I mean? I don't know.
On paper as of right now,
Okay.
that's how I interpret this, was we're going to use this house lot as our access because it's cheaper than going this way.
Right.
That makes
That's
perfect
about the only
sense.
argument
So
I
then
can
to
see.
come back later and be like, oh, hey, we actually want to do that seems strange to me.
That would be about the only argument I could see that they would have is, that, okay, now you're deeming that buildable lot useless, kind of playing devil's advocate here, you know? That's
No, except for no, because you're using it
In
as,
cases, it would qualify as a hardship.
but we're not. We're saying that
Creating a little,
But
basically.
they create
Yeah,
their
they're
own
creating
hardship.
their own-
Not saying that they can't use it, we're saying as of right now, they chose to only use it for a road. That's how
Right.
they chose
So
to use it for a
basically,
road
it's
instead of
It's a
using
business
this.
use, but
Yeah,
as a residential lot, it's,
Well, you using it as a business or using it as a residence?
right.
I mean, it's still, they're getting the use of it.
yeah, and I don't see how we could grant use for land as a business through a random residential lot.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they own the both, this would be an absolute no. I think it would be more apparent if it was two different people. If this guy had a house already here and said, "Hey, I want to grant an easement on my thing to have a business out back," it would be no right off the bat. The fact that it's the same owner makes it a little different.
Did
But
look a little, there were case laws where an easement was allowed for, like, say, access to public land, you know, like, walking or something like that, where it was written into the deed that the owners of the, for example, the owners of the house lot would grant an easement for access to public state forests and that type of thing, but I didn't see anything about business use.
No.
Yeah,
You know,
and
nothing like that.
especially because it's not actually landlocked. You know, if this didn't touch the road anywhere else, we'd be willing to take on different options because they have the right to access it. But it's not. This is a matter of money.
And there's no way that this, as a buildable lot, could be accessed through
It'd be the
this
same
way.
problem.
They could probably
You know what I mean? So, in other words, you were not deeming it useless if they wanted to
Yep.
Do engineering.
do it that way.
Yep.
I mean, this is a wetlands that they'd have to go, I
They
have
could
no
certainly
idea, I didn't know
explore
if that was wet or.
Yeah, so
they
it's
couldn't do it.
wetlands. Basically, this is the only. Hold on.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm not sure.
now I'm trying to
What do we
figure
got?
out which side of the line.
Everybody,
Okay.
uh,
So
I
wetlands.
think this is the Highland in here. This is a little
So
piece
this
of
in here
Highland.
would be wet?
Wetlands, yeah.
Yeah.
This is all wet.
So then, in order for them to have access through this way, they'd have to go over wetlands.
Right.
Yes. Which is the problem for the solar field access. So if they sell off that,
Right.
they can't have their cake and eat it too, I guess.
And that's what the deal was when they were coming in with their 40B and everything else. We had told them they needed 2 accesses in there for
Right.
that number of people. Well, that was their big thing about going through there.
Yeah, because they were talking about a bridge or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and all that kind of corrugated.
I think there was a question, I have to look at the transcript, as to
Yeah.
if there was a cost difference between going through the wetlands and this here, and he said no. And I couldn't believe it. That was just a wow.
I think you called them on that.
That just doesn't sound right
Right.
to me.
Well, maybe the value of the lot's equal to.
I think that's probably what he's looking at,
Oh,
yeah. So you can look at it 2 different ways, but that just took me by surprise. I thought that was a different statement. Okay.
Right.
But this is good. Now we know what you actually,
And we know what the
Granted,
cost
Did
on
you
what he
follow
saw.
what we were doing, Carlos?
Yeah, I think wrapping it around the backside probably would meet the geometry
Well,
requirements
they'd
and
come
all
to
that.
the zoning board looking to
Yeah,
be
build
able
a
to
house
put an
on that.
easement and he had to put a house there.
Yep.
and there was a lot of confusion as to what was granted to the planning board.
They were quoting you guys as, oh yeah, we're good.
Did they actually sell it yet? Or do they own it?
He wasn't 100%, he wasn't sure, he thought they had agreement, it didn't
And something
happen,
they
so
backed out,
it was just a lot of ifs.
and a lot of question marks, right?
But as I remember what they brought in, they didn't even bring in the signed site plan for you, right?
No,
We didn't see it.
no, he had something on the board, but it wasn't what this was.
Is this the one where they're gonna have to plant the trees up adjacent to the property line to help shield and buffer
Yeah.
the road?
Yep. And there's a detention basin going in here.
Yeah, so you'd have to have all kinds of easements and things.
Which would be on that's the residential piece that they were talking about.
You know, there's an 18-foot road going in here, driveway going in here, with a detention basin here.
Is there a limit to size width on an easement that, or is it whatever's written in the deed?
Oh, yeah, I don't actually know that there is one. Usually,
Because they
you see
kept-
20 typically for a driveway
Because they
access.
kept making reference to further down this way, like that's why I said on the other side, oh yeah, there's a dirt road, a dirt path, a dirt road that went through, remember that? And I originally thought, okay, maybe that's what they were talking about. Not that, I thought it was on the other side of the ones, because they said, you'll see it, just drive by, there's a dirt road right there now. Okay,
If you're driving this way.
I mean, they're accessing, right now, they must be accessing through the roadway right now
Yeah.
to get to the field.
Right where it
Okay,
shows.
yeah. Okay.
Sure. Because there's many a times where the zoning board's meeting in here, and you've got the engineer standing over here. There was a room
Nobody
full
else
of
can see
people, nobody could see it.
Yeah, that's my thing, is that it would still, we'd have to have sign of people trying to do that, if you know what I mean, because we don't put on the presentation, and like, no one's ever asked us, no one's ever been like, oh, hey, you know, do you guys have a screen that I can put my presentation on? So like, I think we'd be providing something that there's a possibility nobody wants.
Oh,
If you know what I mean. It'd be cool for us, but then we'd either have to require that they made a presentation on it, or else it would just sit there and no one would use it.
Or just let people know, like if you let all the engineering
I think if they knew that we had it, I think they'd use it.
Or it's cheaper, you don't have to print out boards and do all that.
Lug all the stuff in. I mean, you gotta give us paper copies, but as far as the presentation, you pull it up on the screen. I mean, I think
And then-
like if we had the screen up there, it would be a lot easier for everybody in the room to see it.
and people at home.
Yeah.
But like I said, are you going to require that they do it? Because like if we
Well, we
provide
are.
it and they don't use
It's
it,
like we already own the projector, and it's like, I don't understand what the big fee is to put it in.
I don't either. But that is definitely
Do
what
we have
we
to
were
send
told.
it out for prevailing
We were
rate?
not told that I'm just going to plug it in and it'll be done in 15 minutes.
And I asked for a laptop, and that was like, oh, you gotta spend $2,000 to get one. Well, we're supposed to be getting one from
Yeah, refurbished from an older use or something.
Council on the Aging.
Alright, well, I just want to bring that technology part back to the selectmen.
So we could even make that part of what the discussion if you want to on the zoning, right? Talk about site plan review, submission requirements and those kind of things on what's included,
Good idea.
right?
I mean, the other thing is, we don't have to try to get every bylaw change in on this special town meeting. I'm really not a fan of doing special
rush
town
job.
meeting.
Yep.
You know, I'd rather bring up some of those changes maybe in the regular town meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, so it'd be good to get the ball rolling, or maybe
But
allows us to
started,
think about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gets us. We've got a few things that we
No
should.
rush.
The screen thing, if it wasn't at great cost, then certainly.
Okay.
That's kind of my thing.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
grab a ladder and you and I will put it up next week.
Yeah, dude. Agreed.
Okay, what's next?
Next is meeting minutes for May 16th, 2019.
I wasn't there.
But,
For this one.
oh. This may have been Jonathan.
He's a guy with the
Amy
fridge
and I.
in his parking lot.
I wasn't on yet, right? Oh, yes, I was.
No, this was an oldie.
Walmart ever respond to that letter?
As far as I know, no.
And nobody can still figure out what we do if they choose not to respond?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nobody was able to provide any sort of input as to what anybody can do if somebody just chooses to not follow their
Site
orders.
plan?
Yeah, their conditions.
Be up to the zoning officer to pursue it.
Are they getting any deliveries before 8 a.m.?
Yes, the anonymous complaint indicated they were coming frequently at 5 a.m.
No, I mean, is it still happening after the letter?
I don't know.
Maybe we could reach out to,
The anonymous person.
oh.
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. I was thinking, but I wasn't thinking.
We could have somebody volunteer to go there at 5 a.m. and just sit in the parking lot. Yeah.
That's when we first started talking about the
There you
post
go.
box, the post office box.
Is it?
First we discussed the cluster mailboxes.
We could have cluster. My vice chairman, over there.
Yes, you are.
Do you accept?
I don't think we're in nomination season, are we?
You missed it.
Yeah. I wasn't prepared to put my arguments together. We need to make a motion on this.
Sure.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 16th, 2019.
There's a motion, is a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Right.
There you go. Thank you.
Just doing two, right?
Yeah. So I got official.
Okay. And we have a site plan for 450 Industrial Drive. Needs a signature. I recused myself from that and just got it typed up for me to sign it as the chairman.
Maybe cross off an initial.
Yeah, I think it's best if you don't sign it, because I think it's,
You can sign it.
well, I was just looking to see to make sure that I was on it, because I see that Amy made the motion, Jonathan did the
And you,
second, so I assume
you
I was
Was
running
it 2 weeks ago
the,
or 4 weeks ago?
it would have been,
Last time, too.
2 weeks ago. And the bonus driveway's on his
Right beside.
property right here.
And that
That's
was
what shows right
the
here.
abutters' big contention too, that this is not what you had discussed with us, or talked about and discussed with you guys. Where was this buildable lot all of a sudden coming from? It looked like, oh my God, we can grab another $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 by selling off a buildable lot.
More than that, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, my interpretation was they were combining because it was easier.
Where they show that retention pond, where he was showing the
That's the
driveway
first
to
I
the
saw,
house.
retention
Yeah.
pond.
On the plan that he came to your
Oh, is that-
meeting with, that's where they were showing the houses, where that retention pond is.
Right in here.
I don't
Oh, really?
recall it. Yeah, you mentioned it. Do you?
No, I don't.
That's all
Like I
it
said, I
is.
don't have
This
the-
area here.
That's the retention pond right there? Right here, is this where you're talking?
Right there, right?
Sorry. Anyways. Yeah, so here's street here.
Is that Franklin?
Yeah. So that,
Oh yeah, so Franklin goes down towards there and it comes up this way, so the retention pond's probably back here somewhere, where the house lot would be.
It looks like that would be the start, right?
That's one along the way.
and let me see if I can find the last one. So how that's the road map. It doesn't break it down to a sheet.
There's a match line here, so that's what the next plan. Does it show what you have there?
I don't see them.
Well,
It's
here's
just got the
this.
lot lines.
What are you looking for?
My
It's
bad.
got a match line here, so I was looking for the next plan that's down here. It would continue this.
Doesn't give you a number on it? Usually it gives you a number on the match line.
No, there's not even a sheet that shows you which.
A master.
Usually it's got all the,
Everything's on it, yeah.
like,
Or is it at the very back maybe?
alright, existing sheet 1 would have.
I got the thought.
Yeah, you would think it'd be the first sheet.
So
This
one,
is,
two,
yeah, sheet 1,
like that?
but we're already on
But
sheet
usually
3.
we say it down here or in the margin,
Yeah,
with the next map.
With the next match line, yeah.
That's how the maps work downstairs.
Yeah,
Here, this would be one.
so 4 is 1.
And then 2 is... 2 is this one?
2 would be,
Up here.
yep, 2 would be
So,
So,
north of that.
yeah, because that's the back of Mackenzie's, right?
yeah. And then this will bring us back down to the...
I don't know if it's around 6 and the master thing doesn't go up that high.
This says match line. So like,
And this one.
Alright, so
Match.
that must be sheet 3. So this is the start of the solar panels are up here.
Across the road.
Because there's nothing that's proposed. You can see just as this shape here is this right here.
Yeah.
So that's where we are, where we're talking as far as the access.
Right.
Well, at any rate, the access is coming in through that, that's where it's at.
yeah, I agree.
But But I think what I was saying at your meeting was the problem that we have is just like this. When they come in and they say, here's the plan, planning board said everything's fine. You know, well, where's the signature? There wasn't any signature on the plan you're showing us.
Yeah, we agree. We agree because everything, when it finally comes to us, we think everybody is happy and everything's great.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not, that's not the way it is.
So, I mean, that's why I thought if we get together and try to come up with a process by which, you know,
Yeah, it goes from A to B
they
to
start
C.
somewhere,
Right.
Yeah.
but it follows through and everybody can follow with it. We can put our notes with it, you guys can put your notes with it. And in between, we're getting the information, not necessarily getting it delivered from the applicant.
And they're giving you information you think you want to hear, but different from,
Well, their
Actuality.
interpretation's always a
Yeah.
little bit different than maybe what was said.
it's true.
Well,
Learn that.
I think it stinks, 'cause I know that there are people whose job it is to trick people like me, you know what I mean? That's what they do.
Yeah,
That is it. Well, good.
that was good. I'm glad we get together on this one.
Appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
And then, so I don't know what you guys feel for putting together a, you know, a plan for setting that up.
I think it'd be a great, well, you and I talked about it before. I do think that it's almost unbelievable that we don't have something down like that in writing,
Yeah.
you know? Even if as far as, hey, have you gone to the building inspector? Oh, yes.
Yes,
Okay, have you gone to the town clerk and have you said, oh, yeah.
Where is the,
A flow chart with a signature
File.
card.
Really, that's kind of
Yeah,
essentially
that's
what we need.
Yeah.
You've been here, you've been here, now go
Actually, what
here.
is the procedure? If I wanted to do a development, what do I do?
Yeah,
Do I go to the selectmen first and say I want to do a development? Do I come to the planning board or?
I don't think you were here.
I was not here to. Do we impose clear and concise conditions associated with the site plan approval? Is it learning?
no, I don't think we had anything on that. That's just the logging place in the industrial park.
Yep.
I don't think we had any conditions on that. Oh, wait,
sidewalks.
sidewalks, yes.
Did I get
We made the
this?
condition that they repair the sidewalks
Okay.
in front of the building, in front of the lot.
Good.
Can you add that in, or?
I think it's official, I just forgot about it. Like you Googled me, put my name in there.
I'd cross off Gordon's name and then print yours and sign above it.
Okay.
That's what I did.
So I'll do it official. It's one line through so you can still read it, then the date.
And you're on camera, anyway.
Candid.
And then my initial. Make sure in case ISO goes over that. We got that official.
Do we have to sign the plan or anything? Oh, we already did that night, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Do we want any discussion on Autumn Lane or Pasture Lane?
I'd really like to do something about making sure, like, can we impose some sort of a fee or something like that until they come in here, because these poor people, I feel, they're just dealing with this and they're running away with, is there like a penalty fee or something like that we can impose that they don't, if they don't come in the next meeting, that they will have to pay, like, I don't know, some amount of money? Is there anything that we can do like that?
No.
For which one is this? Pasture?
This is the one where the lady came in about the road that's not complete and I guess it's deteriorating quite a bit. It's not accepted and then it's been purchased a few years
Lane,
ago.
right, or Autumn?
Maybe I'm discussing pasture.
Pasture's one where the guy took up the lot and he was gonna fix the road.
Yeah.
I forget what the autumn lane was. Oh, wait a minute, now I remember.
Bottom lane is off of Pond Street, off of Spencer.
Well, they want to talk about that later, approve subdivision, don't they?
They're just getting the finalized stuff done
Like it
and signed off on the
curves.
No, they've got that done. I think monuments and
Okay. So they want to release the bond is what they're looking for, maybe?
release a lot.
Did they hold a lot on that one?
That's what they did back in that time period.
That's what we did on Pasture Lane too.
And Dahlia.
What did we decide with the zoning board? They were gonna come to our,
Yeah,
on the 15th?
Yeah.
15th.
And so,
You got that?
and then maybe a second meeting on the 5th, but we'll decide that night.
Can I ask something on the pasture lane one? That is still not a buildable lot until he finishes the road, right? He bought a lot that isn't a buildable lot.
It just will never be released, so I guess
The town
technically
has
you
a
could get all
covenant on
the
it.
permitting and get it built, you just wouldn't be able to transfer it.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. Do we know that it was formally, that it actually formally changed hands at any point?
He got it from his uncle, Murray, right?
That's what he
Wasn't that what it
said.
was? Which I don't know how that can change hands even within family with that there.
Probably can, just write the covenant or the restriction, the deed
Carries
restriction
with
goes
it.
with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they could just deed it to each other for $1 or whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, since we're not doing that anymore, that's good, but we should probably have a restriction on a bond. If we ever did a bonded lot, some sort of a restriction that it can't be sold without the road being finished, just to like, but we're not gonna do that anymore.
Responsibility, yeah.
You wanna start writing the bylaws or?
No, the time looks about right. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
We have to go, oh, we can't go over the minutes for our last meeting?
Then, you have them?
Right. Do you want me to look at them? I don't know how.
You again?
Well, they're not in like the meeting minutes.
Well, this is, I handed you the folder.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know why. Well, she certainly didn't write these off of my notes. These are way too good. My notes were not that good.
She did call me. She said she was having trouble hearing the tape.
Oh, really? So she did use my notes, that's what you're saying. So do you, is that
She
what-
used both.
I did read them, so
my only other issue is we don't have an official one
to
to sign.
Okay, well, we can wait on it till next meeting then.
They always say official
Oh, there
copy.
it is.
You know,
There should
hand-
be, there should
hand
be a
something-
plan saying, okay, first bring it to here, and then your next step is to the planning board, and then if you're gonna have zoning problems, maybe it goes to the zoning.
Yeah.
board. I mean, the thing that hurts me is I'm sitting there, just like the O'Reilly Auto Parts. I mean, he went through every board, he got all these approvals, and he comes to us, hey, wait a minute. You know, you don't have,
All right,
and
that's
now
one
here's
of
the
the
guy
things
that spent all kinds of money, he's got all these reports and spent all this thing, and he's done everything he could. He's helping the neighbor out with their water problems, and he comes to us and will say, well, it doesn't look like they're gonna get it.
But I
That's
agree
one of the
with
things I
you
think is,
that I think just a signature card, if just somebody signs off this, were you in to the Board of Health? Yes, you were. But, okay, well, what did they say? If you had something like you were talking with notes that, hey, I can see right here, the planning board didn't, or just only did A, B, and C, D, E, and F has got nothing to do with it, you know?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons I brought up about the site plan, because, just take the farmhouse, for example, down there.
If you had to go there, go.
Well, I'm just saying, if it goes to the site plan first, okay, the site plan goes out to everybody. As
Right.
soon as the site plan comes in, it goes out to all the boards. So now everybody's on page. Everybody can make comments to that, and that comes back. And then, now that follows that. But if the site plan goes afterwards, what good is that gonna be?
Right.
The comments
That's
come,
actually
the comments
a
come
prime example.
after the fact.
I mean, it was our third or fourth meeting in months ago, we found
No, it
out,
was
yeah,
more
by the
than
way,
that.
the addition's on somebody else's property.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, that thing just went on and on.
It was never ending.
But when I talked to the town's attorney said, oh no, the site plan can come afterwards. And I'm like, how's that work?
Yeah. That's just
That-
asking for trouble, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any
Wait.
sense.
Yeah.
Where is that folder that we were looking at that had everything in it, that has the checklist in it? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like a folder and it has all the things in
For the
it.
site plan?
Yeah,
Oh, the checklist.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yeah, that's actually
have an
for the
example?
site plan itself.
Do we have an example of that here?
I don't
know
think we
where
do.
it is. That's more.
But it's basically something the same.
Yeah, that's
it's
like,
the same thing.
but it's the same,
Yeah.
same idea.
Checklist where you
need
can
all
all
these
write down
things.
the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But it's no good for the people that are coming in either. Like you said, I hate that when somebody comes back and is like, oh, hey, we got denied for this permit for the, it happened on the sign or something. It's like, oh man, because like we spent the time, we were like, yeah, that looks good. We figured everything seems fine. Go ahead and order it. And guy spends all this money, then later down the line, somebody tells him no. And I feel like we kind of gave him an injustice. Luckily, the guy was cool with it and it worked out okay. But
same for us, too.
everyone should know. I'm good. To this point, I'm good. Nobody should get to the end and realize.
Midstream, when all of a sudden the whole game changes, when, oh yeah, this is gonna be a buildable lot in here, when you guys would basically stand there scratching your head, what buildable lot? Because it never was presented.
Yeah, as far as I
Planning board, oh yeah.
says, people whose job it is to trick us.
Well, like you're saying, we have a checklist for the site plan. But I think what we need to do is we need to have a checklist for the whole process.
Right.
okay, I see. Yes.
And then each board has their own checklist within that, but I think...
In the specific order.
Yeah, I
I
think you should be able to come to the town hall, pick up the information to decide whether or not you can do a project in this town.
Right.
Not have to call a bunch of people and maybe get an answer, maybe not get an answer to a question. I mean, it should be written down.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you go first?
Yep.
That was your
And
question
actually, that
before.
only makes sense too, good with an overall checklist for a construction project, whether it be residential, commercial, or whatever. We meet once a month. You don't have the answers, and you're
It's a month
putting this
down the
up a
road.
month down the road. I mean,
Right.
it's not like we meet every week,
Well, you can.
Well,
We can't.
It's on the finance committee. They'd like to meet every month.
right.
Every week.
We only meet once a month, and if we meet 4 times a month, we have to quadruple our salary.
Well, we never know.
The town will be okay with that.
Yeah. All those in favor?
No, but I just think that, if we work together, we put together that so that somebody can come in, see what they have to do. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit of a process for us to do that. We can go back and
It's still
forth.
gonna be time consuming on the other end.
No, but I mean, for us to
Oh,
set
process it, yeah.
up that
Yeah.
checklist.
Well, it'll do a justice for all the people that live here and want to do business here.
Yeah,
Would only simplify the matter.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, our
Let's do it.
job, our
Let's
job
make it-
here is
let's make a date to
to
do
make
that.
it easier.
He wants a date.
To actually sit down at some point and
Do you
actually
wanna do it at our next meeting?
When is that?
That'll be 3 days after yours?
The 15th.
I'm gonna be away the 19th.
So we'll make it special and do the 15th.
Unless you guys all wanna come down to Florida, we can meet down there.
Come on, I'm going.
Let's do it in January instead.
I mean, I don't know what you guys have on your agenda for your next meeting.
That's a mystery right now. When's your next meeting, the what?
Yours is the 12th, right?
Yeah.
And ours is the 15th.
You're green with pink.
I mean, if you didn't have much on your agenda, that's why I was thinking maybe
Yeah.
we could meet there, but
15th.
the 19th
Yeah,
you
we'll
still
the
could.
following week. Let's shoot for the 15th. Can you give us a time or a time certain?
What's
Well, you
good for
won't
you?
have any idea how busy you
No,
are.
we can make the time, whatever time you guys want.
I mean, I won't be here the week of the 12th. I'm on a cruise, so I'm out, yeah.
You didn't invite us.
Hey, look, there's still bookings if you like to send it. I get you a great deal. It may be an inside cabinet down in the, but hey,
The price will be right.
it will, yeah.
Well, you want to do it I'd like to have Jerry there, to be perfectly honest with you. Can we
Well,
get-
I don't know if we're gonna get it all done in one night either.
We probably
Right.
won't, but we'll have a good idea as to where to
Yeah,
start,
all right.
how
Let's
it
go
goes.
for the 15th, and then,
And then if you got X number of guys that come to that meeting, that's fine, and if somebody
yeah,
else
go
comes to
some
that,
ideas, put some
I'm sure it's
kind
gonna take more than a meeting.
yeah, preliminary list together, and at least, yeah, start the ball rolling.
Yeah,
And then we'll continue it on the 5th or, at your meeting on the 9th, either way.
I mean, I think we should, if there's gonna be a zoning problem, maybe we should insert that sooner than later. If he has an idea of what he's doing, but he's gonna need a special permit from us, maybe that should be in part of the beginning of the process, so we know
Yeah, at
whether
least
he's
know
gonna
right
get
up front.
granted.
So at least,
Otherwise, they're gonna spend all this money,
process.
going through the process and find out, wait a minute, I thought this was gonna be easy, but, the
Well,
zoning bylaws won't allow it.
Well, I think there is the option already in there as far as, somebody comes here for their special permit.
Yeah.
If they determine that, they're gonna need a zoning variance for that, they can apply for the variance too. We can make our approval contingent on that.
I think, like you say, a lot of people say, like O'Reilly was, all we need is 14 spaces. We don't need all this other stuff, but our bylaws say you need 75. I mean, in every other town, they tell us, oh, wait, they gave us an okay in that. But, well, you didn't come to us, so we can't give you the okay until we see it. I mean, they did prove that they could do it, which was fine, that's all we needed.
Yeah.
But it's also like I said, it's the difference between somebody else's opinion and then
Yeah.
who's actually.
Now you have some of the ones who do a development here or a business here, now it's ticked off because
have
we
it
don't want to do anything in
These
Halifax.
are our laws.
And that's what we don't want.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Let's shoot for the 15th. What do you want to do it early? You want to do it
So
later?
it's up to you guys, I'll put you in for whatever you want.
Oh, you won't be around, so you're going the 12th, right?
Yeah.
Well, let-
I think there's, according to the paper, I noticed there's at least 3 in-law apartments that are coming up. And I don't know if anything else is coming, well, we got this coming back too.
yeah,
So there's probably gonna be at least 4 applicants coming in.
yeah.
That's something we might need to take a look at too, is the in-law apartments too. I mean, isn't it kind of bizarre to have an in-law apartment, you need a 6-foot opening between the units? Doesn't that mean it's not an apartment?
Yeah.
Well, it's not supposed to be an apartment.
Well, technically, what's the term? It's in-law apartment.
Yeah, true.
It's only,
You are
you only
saying
go
that,
6 feet only, so it doesn't turn into.
How about-
Is it a bigger house?
What I'm saying is, if it's not an apartment and it's family, there's no reason for them to even go to you.
Then it's just a bigger house, right?
Because you can have your family move in with you. There's no regulation against
You
that.
can, but I mean, they're putting kitchens in.
You can have as many kitchens as you want.
No.
I mean, at one time, we had that regulation, you couldn't have more than one kitchen.
Yeah.
But that's out.
Unless you're selling, because if you're selling and you have 2 kitchens without a legal standpoint from the town, then that becomes a problem with financing. They will make you take out another kitchen. Yes. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Well, put them where they belong.
Where would I start?
But I mean, really, when you think about it, the definition of an apartment is a separate living space. If you have a 6-foot opening between them, you don't have separate living space.
And shared living space.
And grandparents that move in with their kids don't want to have that whole, like, they're coming all the time, they need that break, so they don't want that. You know what I mean? Not to be mean, but they,
No,
at night,
I
they
understand that,
want
but I'm sure that if you walk into any of these similar apartments, there's a curtain or something up that's blocking,
takes a
blocking
key.
the two. You could even have, like, maybe it's a child gate, but the child gate is 6 feet tall, 6 feet wide.
Barbed wire on the top.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's shoot for your meeting the 15th. What do you need?
You wanna do 7 o'clock?
Let's do 7, because that'll give you guys to catch your
Usually
breath,
we
get
can
things
usually
done.
get things
If you
cleaned
could
up.
put us on at 7, and if we have to change it, I'll talk to the other members, and
Okay.
most of the time we do like to meet when Jerry's not around, but, you know.
It's true, it's true. It doesn't hurt.
That's only thing you can make him do the flow chart tonight, right?
And, yeah, if it has to change, or we'll take it from there. Let's just shoot
Yeah.
for that, and if we have to, make changes, we'll do that. Good stuff.
Yeah,
All right, pleasure. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.
thank you.
Good stuff to a good start.
Have a great cruise.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Alaska.
Ooh.
Oh, it's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
2 weeks?
20 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
Doing the
15 years ago, I did 2 weeks, so we're going back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You doing the inland channelway?
Did that the last time, this time it's just a cruise.
Land? Oh,
No, just in the ocean, yeah, that's it.
Great.
Good.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
hey, do you guys have anything coming up on the 40B?
Not that we've seen.
Yeah.
A lot of rumor and talk, but that's about it.
Yeah,
It's
maybe,
coming, it's
maybe we
coming.
wanna do a joint meeting with you on, when that comes too.
That's gonna have to be. We just.
I mean, we don't really have a lot of input, but we can
But we'd
maybe
appreciate
guide
your
it.
input. That's the important thing.
No authority, but we get input a little bit more.
Right. Yeah,
Because that's gonna be a whole lot of fun up there.
seems like they all are when they come in, aren't they? You haven't seen one go through though.
See you later.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Looked at the numbers, Halifax is like 0.3% affordable housing. Super low.
On the Franklin Street, when the developer was coming through, talking to them, he's like, oh yeah, they're all set to go, we just need you to sign off on this, they'll get the house lot, and they'll be able to do this, and the abutters were like, what are you guys talking about? We went to all the meetings. That house lot thing isn't in the site plan that's approved. And the guy standing up there is like, nope, it's all set, it's all been taken care of.
Well, actually glad that everyone else there remembers it the same way, because I don't know if we have anything on paper or nothing, or anything that says, hey, this will never be a buildable lot, but that was the impression. Because I'm glad we all thought that.
They were asking for a variance to not use their own frontage. And then at the meeting, I was like, okay, well, you're saying that's a retreat lot, and it says you can only access one lot for a retreat lot under this section of the bylaws. I'm like, oh, no, we're not here to talk about that now. We only want to talk about this one. It was just, and the neighbors were getting quite upset, so.
I didn't know you could just dismiss a valid question like that. We're not here to talk about that.
Interesting.
Okay. Anything on the Postmaster?
So,
Is there a date picked for that? Is that the 15th also?
Terry's got on here the 15th. Please confirm 1 or 2 p.m. And it's the same day as our meeting. Anybody have a preference on that?
2 would be best.
Sure.
Do best.
It's fine with me,
Okay, we'll say 2.
2 PM. Do we need to make a motion or is that good?
Yeah, we should make a
You
motion.
gonna make a motion? Is it gonna be a formal like, meeting that needs
Well,
to be?
If three of
If there's 3 of us there, we have to have it posted.
So I'll make a motion to meet with the postmaster on August 15th at 2 PM
Here?
here at this office, at this meeting room.
Okay, I have a motion as a second.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I have to, in the motion, when I'm doing the meeting, have to say the place too, right?
Well, I just
Um,
wanted to put it in there.
okay.
I just brought you up to be in your mail from the court and the letter that Charlie had previously sent, and I brought up a full copy of the judge's decision, so the planning board has a copy of it. So the order was just the 2 pages, and then his findings of fact is full, but I figured that could be copied and given to everybody here. I mean, a copy for you guys, a copy for zoning, and I gave a copy to the town clerk.
Did that read it? What was the basis for the decision that they didn't have the required frontage for?
The
You
basis-
guys want to discuss this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so what were the technical aspects of the
Yeah.
zoning that they said that it didn't comply with?
He said that when he looked, his finding was, does the site plan require subdivision? In order to put each building on a separate lot. And his determination was, yes, the site plan requires subdivision.
The site plan or any plan to put a house on a lot?
The
that-
site plan that was approved, in this case, he narrowly defined it,
Yeah,
requires that each building be on a separate lot. In order to have a separate lot, it has to be subdivided.
or have its own frontage.
Well, he said in order to, the way it was, the site plan was part of the special permit, so that they approved the special permit, which include the site plan, and when they came back to the planning board in March or April, when they presented the change page 2, he said the lines are still there, showing that each building is supposed to be on a separate lot. So in order to have a separate lot for each one of the buildings, they'd have to do subdivision.
And did the original plan that was approved by the planning board show lots?
Yes, so what happened with Charlie's, the original plans that were given to you guys in May of 14
Yeah,
showed everything on one lot. Now that plan was destroyed from your records.
okay.
It shouldn't have been, but the plan was destroyed from your records.
It was not approved or it was approved?
That plan was not approved.
Okay,
So that you got Charlie's memo the day before your meeting. You guys had a meeting on the 17th.
okay.
So at that meeting, you guys told the developer what the opinion of was from town council, that each building had to be on a separate lot. And which is what Halifax Trails was too. Halifax Trails came in, both of these plans came in at the same time.
Yeah,
Halifax Trails showed everything on a separate lot after they came back with this memo as well.
okay.
So, in order to do the multifamily, each building has to be on a separate lot.
A separate lot that conforms with the requirements for frontage and otherwise?
Yes.
Okay. So, but they did come back with a plan that showed lots, which was subsequently approved by the planning board, didn't they?
Yes, but they never created the lots. That's the whole issue of the lawsuit.
And they couldn't have without having the required frontage that they would have needed to put in the road.
Correct. Well, that was the planning board's decision in 2012. That they didn't have, they couldn't get a subdivision. So they submitted a set of plans that show the subdivision.
Okay. On that end.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. I was just saying, because when we did the thing on the trails,
Yeah.
lot is defined as a single area of land in one ownership defined by meets and bounds or boundary lines on a recorded deed or recorded plan. That is our definition of lot. Nothing there says it has to be of any size. It doesn't say that it has to be buildable. It just says that it has to be shown on a plan. So there could be just lines on a plan that are defined. Like, it doesn't have to meet anything.
But, so if you go to 16711, it tells you what the size requirements are, the dimensional requirements of a lot in town.
Yeah, but a lot is just a single area of land in ownership. It doesn't, I think the definition of a buildable lot would be different, but I don't understand why it doesn't work the same way on the Halifax trails, where they just made a lot that could be described and shown on a
So
plan.
Halifax Trails came in with the original plan,
Yeah.
and then they came back to you with a plan that met Charlie's memo to you guys.
Was it a
And they got-
roadway?
No, my question is what makes you think when they say it has to be shown on a lot, that it has to be shown on this, that lot has to be specific in any way? Like, when it says it has to be shown on a lot, all it's saying is it has to be a single area that's shown on a plan. That's the only definition of lot that we have.
How do you create a lot?
Because of the bylaw that we have, and I'm looking for the number right now, that the stricter bylaw always
But that's not a bylaw. I'm talking definition.
So-
I'm saying what the word means.
So-
When they say it needs to be on a lot,
So that
all
goes
it
back.
has to be is a single area of land shown on a plan.
So when you go
That's-
back to what the attorney said at the zoning board meeting, he said there's only two ways to create a lot. The town attorney. So there's only two ways to create a lot, is to have an A&R or a subdivision. So that's what the attorney told the zoning board. The only way to create lots is to have an A&R where they'd have to have frontage on a road.
And so that was a communication between a different board and the attorney. That wasn't with us, right?
That was Attorney Huxon at the zoning board.
Okay.
So then I guess the question is on that other project, did they create a public roadway that then allowed for creation of lots with the required amount of frontage?
So that other one, when they went in front of the zoning board, asked for variances for a number of different things per lot. So like lot 5 was supposed to have a 50-foot setback or whatever it was. I don't remember the exact, but they got it for that lot.
Okay. But it was a public roadway that was created.
I don't know if that project is stalled out, so I don't, I know what the meeting minutes say, I don't know where it is, and I don't know what has gone. My chase has not been on that project as a whole, my chase has been on this.
Okay.
And the other one that came forward was the Halifax Country Club, which was in December of 16, where they went in front of the zoning board. And the zoning board's opinion was that each building had to be on a separate lot, each lot had to have 150 feet of frontage, and the project would need subdivision.
The zoning board made that determination at
Yes.
that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the order that it went through.
So then as far as that 10-acre requirement, that the lot that the development be proposed on is a 10-acre minimum, is that prior to any subdivision activity?
So the wording is a parcel, and the way that it was written is you had to have control of 10 acres, a 10-acre parcel. Then you could subdivide that into meeting the requirement. The other thing you could do is just build one building
An enormous building, yeah.
and have it that way. I mean, the issue with, if you have 150 feet of frontage, then putting a 110-foot road is no issue,
Yeah.
right? So that's the issue with this project, is they don't have 110 feet of frontage, so they couldn't get a road in there.
Yeah.
So, but anybody else for a normal, like if you had a house out front and you had developable land out behind you, as long as you had the required 110 feet, you could put a road in out to that other land and create the subdivision.
But then you have to go and get relief for all the dimensional setbacks of the individual houses relative to these lots that you just created.
If they don't fit, yes.
That seems like a lot of work to do. Because
But
the
I mean-
intent, but yeah, 'cause the intent is to have kind of these more dense, multifamily developments, and by creating these lots, you're artificially constraining yourself in a lot of ways. And granted, they could probably get the relief if there's some sort of understanding, but to the point of the zoning board coming in earlier, you spend a lot of time and energy getting it through that first step, where you can't apply for the relief that you're gonna need until the lots are created.
But the other thing is, in the zoning bylaws, the zoning board can't grant any waivers or relax any of the rules for a special permit.
For a special permit, but once they have the use approved, the special permit is done and gone, and the zoning board, I guess, would be able to act, like you were saying, individually on each one of these buildable lots. Right?
I get after they subdivided yet,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to bring it in so it's in your record that you guys have it as coming in for mail.
So what, do you know what the next steps are? Have that development there? Is it
So the
just
next-
have
then-
developed?
So the order is that they have to revoke the building permits. So, and then there'll be another trial, probably in October.
For what purpose at that point?
I'm asking for the cost,
Okay,
so
okay.
that's where it stands. But I gave you the order, I gave everyone a copy of the order, and then I gave a copy to Bert for the zoning board of the whole ruling. So I brought two for you guys. So you can keep one in your records, and then if you guys want to copy it,
Yep.
so you guys have it all. And then the question you guys had earlier, this is not to do with this, but with the secretary hiring. I know with the finance committee and wage and personnel, the finance committee, it does all the interviews themselves.
Oh, that makes
So
sense.
like that secretary reports to us. I had to do all of the annual,
Like reviews and
yes.
everything?
Yeah, so I had to do the annual review, and it's the same for the wage and, the wage board,
Wage and personnel.
wage and personnel. Their secretary reports to them. So if that's something that you guys want to entertain as a planning board, that's a change that could be made. I kind of think that the person reports, like, is working for you, you should have some input into who's being hired and how well do you work with that person.
And I think that we would probably be the best to ask like what our needs are as far as like our secretary. Yeah, you want to? Yeah, go ahead. Make it your turn. You know, we're kind of the ones who would know what we need and know, be able to feel it out. Like, hey, you're going to be able to do the things that we need. Right, that makes sense.
And I think from reviewing the wages, I want to say it's a 15-hour-a-week position, if that sounds right to you guys.
I think it is.
So, I mean, there's the research that can be done on whatever you need, or like these flow charts. The secretary for the planning board and the secretary for zoning could be working on that if they understood what your processes were here, to try to put something in writing. To me, it only makes sense that the first person you're gonna probably come into is the assessor, to find out what the property's assessed at. Then you're gonna go to the building inspector and say, oh, this is what I'm looking to do. You should get a letter of determination from him on the zoning. Right
Yeah,
up
that's,
front.
I think that's, yeah,
Like you should
typically that's
get a
first.
written letter from the zoning officer determining what it is that you're applying for and what he found. And that letter should be distributed to everybody.
Which also lets everybody know, hey, somebody's interested in
Yes.
this and this is what they want to do.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you got, that's the start of the flow, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody goes to the planning board or zoning board, they send them over to get a determination letter first. Because I watched the meetings with the sign for Dunkin' Donuts. And it was like, well, if you had a determination from the zoning board up front, and not the zoning board, the
Building inspector.
building
yeah.
inspector, then he could have gave you that determination, and then this board could have said, no, we're signing off on this because this is our understanding. And you guys are the elected officials that get to make that determination. But
We would have already known that you didn't have a chance, and we spent 3 hours going through and discussing it.
Yeah, and
Could have
I-
saved it all.
Right. So it only makes sense that he writes his letter of determination, that gets sent out to everybody, then the process starts, right? Because if he says, no, you're gonna need a variance, right? He can, the person coming in can go, how do I get a variance? What's that process? And then you can have that process ready to go. Once he gets the variance, it goes back to the building inspector and said, okay, I got my variance like you told me I needed, or I thought and I didn't need it or whatever.
Yep.
And then the next step is get the site plan, get that approved, and any other changes that you need. But I really think you need to get a written determination, not, yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah, and I think that makes the start of the process official. I like that.
Because when it comes to subdivision, that's already written out. The whole process is in 235.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, you can just go there and see exactly what you need to do. We don't have that for anything else. And I know it's gonna be hard to have something that catches everything. Because there's so many different things that could come up, but we should be able to handle the majority of them and still track things the same way.
Yep.
It just seems like once you get things written down, everybody knows where you're starting from.
That's
And you
what I
guys
think.
can make-
Everybody can just look at it and say, hey, all right, they've been here. We know exactly. Real quick.
And if your board or if a different board has a different determination, then you guys can talk and say, I don't know, we reviewed what you wrote and we don't think that's correct. So you can call in him into your
Yeah.
next meeting and say,
Do we have to hash this out between us? This isn't between
Yeah.
us and the applicant. This is
Yeah.
internal. Yeah.
It'll make us look more professional to the outside world too.
It just seems like once you have a process, I looked at Bridgewater's bylaws. So Bridgewater's bylaws say that you have to go get a determination first. It's like their first step. You go get a determination from the zoning officer, then you get to go around to the different boards that you need to go to. The farmhouse, right, was kind of funny because like that part of the building's on somebody else's lot. So the only way the building inspector issue a demolition permit is from the owner of the property. that the house.
Yeah,
the
because
house
he
is on.
can't grant the demolition permit because the property's on the
No,
other guy,
yes.
even though so the other guy pulled a permit to rip down a house that he doesn't own. Yeah, that's
Or at least
interesting.
a section of it. So it was just like I've been going to a lot of the meetings, right? So you get to see that we do have a lot of dysfunction when we don't have things written down. So once things are written down, it's very clearly at that point to say, well, this is what you said, and this is what I'm bringing to the boards. Because there's a lot of times not everybody can make it to every meeting. I mean, the zoning board, they meet once a month, and if that person misses that meeting, they've got to watch the tape, but they can't talk to anybody outside of the meeting. You can talk to one other person. If they talk to two people, that's a quorum, and you just broke the open meeting law. So if everything's written down for you, it's an easy catch-up.
Agree.
And I don't know where they are in the process of hiring a secretary.
It would make sense if somebody's gonna do, like, at least for the finance committee, Carlos, who you did when we hired Kendra or Nikki?
Nikki, I think at the time, yeah.
So we get a bunch of resumes, and then we said, okay, bring in this one, bring in that one, and
Yep.
made our decision.
Yeah, pretty simple.
So do we have that ability now, or are we asking for it?
I don't think that that's the process right now, but I think if you guys wanted to change that process, then probably let the selectmen know. Send a letter to the selectmen and say that you want to have input on who your secretary is, because you're the ones that have to work with her,
Okay.
or him.
I like that idea. Do we need to make a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we are part of the process of hiring the planning board's new secretary and any secretaries in the future, and write a letter asking for that permission from the selectmen.
There's a motion, is a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So without a secretary, who's gonna write that letter? Shall I?
No, Terry,
Okay,
Terry's still doing the minutes.
okay.
When's the next selectmen's meeting?
The 13th, I believe. Could be the 6th, but I believe it's the 13th.
I think I got a notice. Yeah, you got a public hearing on the 13th. Okay, do you want to have any discussion on bylaws or? I talked to Charlie, it looks like we might be doing the town meetings October. The first part of October, he said. So we need to set up the hearing, public hearing to discuss the bylaw changes before that. We want to go for the first part of September.
I think that the 19th of September looks good, because then it gives everybody a chance to put in bylaws. I have some things going on in town where I've heard of people writing bylaws of their own that they want. Gives them time to get it in. We can have a hearing, we can get all the notices out for the hearing, and everybody will be settled in their back to school and back to fall life, and you know what I mean, in the first couple of weeks, and then we can take part of that and be ready for October.
The only thing is that it would only give us one meeting to hear them out and like make a decision.
Well, we'd have the 3rd too, because I don't think,
Okay.
yeah, will give us 2. I mean, or we could do the 5th, but
Because I think last time I was confused. I thought there was something like we just had to have the hearing. I thought that was like the requirement. Like they couldn't talk about it at town meeting unless we had a meeting. But I guess we actually have to make a recommendation. It doesn't matter what it is, but we actually have to have a recommendation on top of that.
Well, the planning board has to hold a public hearing, and then we make a recommendation.
That's the same, but even
But
if we had the public hearing but didn't make a determination, they still couldn't discuss it.
Well, I believe if you have a hearing and you don't make a determination, then it would be a no.
Yeah, I don't think I would stop being able to bring it up.
Okay, that's what.
As long as we had the hearing.
Okay, all right. So that's originally what I thought. We just had to have the hearing, and then I thought I was told otherwise, that we actually had to have a recommendation in. so that just the hearing wasn't,
The Massachusetts general law says that you do have to write a written recommendation. You can give a verbal recommendation at town meeting, but you need to, the way that the law is written is that so if you guys want to make bylaw changes, you turn around, you can add them to your own public hearing because it's your public hearing, but everybody else has to send their bylaw changes to the selectmen, and the selectmen have to send them to you. So if you guys make bylaw
So we gotta
changes,
send it to the selectmen, so.
but the
alright.
selectmen don't have to vote on them because you're the board holding the hearing, so you can put in your own bylaw
Because,
changes.
Alright.
because they set up the whole thing for the town meeting,
that makes sense, so.
so they have to be able to
So if we
publish.
gave the 19th, it would give people enough time to go to the selectmen to make their proposal, which would allow the selectmen to send it to us, and then we could put it on our hearing notice. Okay, so 19th sounds good.
Because it takes, I think the notice has to be published two weeks in a row for what you guys are gonna
For the
have.
hearing.
All right, yeah.
So at your next meeting, you guys probably should discuss if there's any other bylaw changes that you wanna put in, that you,
Because it's gonna be
Vote them.
published in the
Alright.
paper.
Yeah, so we should make our decisions by the 15th, which will make sure that we can have our postings in,
Yeah,
hopefully before the 1st of September, and then that's plenty of
yeah,
time.
because it takes about 3 weeks for,
printers.
because they have to get printed.
Okay.
So your recommendation won't be printed, it'll be just like the finance committee recommendation at town meeting.
All right, yeah, they'll know what it was, but it
Yeah.
won't, okay. Gotcha.
And then I believe they have to be mailed at least a week ahead of the town meeting
Meeting.
to the residents.
So for the public, would it be right to say that the deadline to have any bylaws into the planning board, which means that they'll have to be into the selectmen by
The 13th.
the 13th? So they'll have to be into the any bylaw changes need to be into the selectmen's office by the 13th of August in order to be looked at in the October special town meeting.
For zoning bylaws, yeah, because you need, for a special meeting, you need 100 signatures.
So they need 100 signatures
They
as
need
well.
100 signatures. For an annual town meeting, it's only 10.
Okay. 100 signatures when it goes into the selectmen, or
To, the town clerk has to certify there's 100 signatures.
in order for it to go to the selectmen?
Yeah.
Okay. And she can, and anybody who's gonna put in a bylaw change, if they were going to, would be able to go to Barbara, the town clerk, and get a signature thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So we really gotta kind of wrap up our
Next
changes
meeting.
for the next meeting,
Okay.
Okay.
which we probably won't do too many, but. Yep.
So the selectmen did talk about possibly getting a parking changes for the business districts, like the type of building where the auto parts store was
Yeah, he had, I think,
invited by that, so if you guys,
There is some language in there already that gives people flexibility if they ask for it, but it could probably be clarified.
yeah, I like whatever he showed us that had the retail broken down by types of retail. And I don't know if that was a state thing that he had or what he had, but it made sense.
I think if you guys made that recommendation to say that it's acceptable to use whatever those guidelines were that he came in with,
Yep.
plus, I don't know, 4 parking spots or something, whatever you guys feel.
Or maybe clarify that relief from parking requirements could be sought through a special permit process or whatever it may be, through the site plan approval process.
Yeah, I'd certainly be willing to look at those.
And it would seem to make sense if you guys are gonna do a special permit for parking along the site plan, that it would be the planning board, that's the special granting authority, not
Yeah,
the zoning board.
part of
Because
this
if you guys
process.
are dealing with it, then it should be, like, if you're gonna put in there to get a special permit for parking,
Yep.
I would say that the planning board would be the granting authority for that section. And you have to spell that out in the bylaw.
Yep. It's a lot of stuff to discuss about. Did I hear that we have to act at the next hearing on those zoning modifications? Like take a vote on whether or not we have the final language down, or do we just need to
Yeah,
hold
but-
in the hearing?
The next meeting, we're gonna have to have that wrapped up.
Okay. So we
Because-
want to
because
circulate
it has to go
drafts.
It has to go to the paper to be published 2 weeks before, so if we're the 15th, and if we're gonna do the hearing here, we're gonna have to get
Yeah, so
out
that's
to the paper.
4
Well, I
more
don't know if that
hearings.
gives us 2 weeks.
You might, so,
Yeah, I think it would happen June, it doesn't really matter, but if as long as we know by the 15th which ones that we're gonna discuss, then
But we gotta-
then we make the notice.
you'd have to have, like,
language.
besides the ones the selectmen sent to you guys, if there's other changes, you'll have to have that language down the night of the 15th unless you
Yeah.
call a special, because we ran into the newspaper the newspaper goes to print on Friday, like that's when it's available at the thing, but you have to be in by Tuesday night.
All right, so if we have it all secured and voted on the 15th, that allows it to get printed the 20th at the earliest, which gives plenty of time for the date of the 19th.
Not really plenty.
And you guys,
When does the paper
Well,
come
The
out?
deadline's the 20th. The 23rd, it starts print, then it circulates, and then the next week it circulates, which is, we're a week prior to where we need to be.
Right?
Here?
I'm cool with that. Yeah. So it could be, I mean, we'd actually be able to get 3 weeks of,
Okay, Tuesday, so the deadline is Friday, right? No, the deadline's Tuesday
so
for the
it
Friday
has to be
print.
printed 2 weeks before, so.
yeah, that's what,
the
so we're
5th
good.
That 5th, September 5th,
Yeah.
it'll have to be in the paper before the.
But I think we could have it be ready by the 23rd
It
of
would
August.
Not go in till
Yeah,
here
cool.
and then not print till here. I mean, it would be due that, we wouldn't be able to get it in by the deadline, which is a Tuesday, so it would not be printed till then, and
Unless
then we'd miss it.
Unless we did another meeting at the end of August.
So what exactly needs to be
Just
in
to
the
do
paper?
that.
Just the fact that we're discussing, or
It's the actual
The
bylaw
language.
changes. But you guys also, at the special hearing, your recommendation can be to amend that. So somebody,
Oh, yeah, I
so if the language isn't clear,
I think we've done that before.
you can get up and say, the planning board recommends with this amended change
Yep.
to the bylaw.
But it's nicer to have it printed rather than trying
But
to.
it is, but, I mean, if there's a word that's typoed or whatever, you
I
just,
mean, it's possible maybe we could do a meeting on the 22nd too.
I think we
You know what I
can
mean,
get,
if we needed to clean it up.
Yeah,
and
if we
then-
needed
if
it.
we needed to, but
Because if we just need to do that, just come in and get that done and,
Yep.
okay.
because if we were done on the 22nd and it went to the paper the next week, it would make it right.
Yes, because.
Yeah, but you'd still be able to print
Because
on
the
the 30th.
deadline would be the 27th, print here, out here, and then out again, right?
Yep.
yeah, you'd be good then.
Yep.
It'd be a week extra in there.
Yeah, it still makes it for the week extra somewhere. It's good, okay. Cool.
And we'll shoot
So we'll
for it if
brush
we
up
need
on
it. and
those.
it'll give us a little bit of time. Okay, so what we need to do we need to take a vote on that hearing then?
The fact that we're gonna talk about it?
No, for the hearing, to set the date. Not yet. We could do it at the next meeting.
My recommendation would be,
Sooner the better.
well, you can, but the problem is,
Yeah,
it's not so much the setting of the date, it's the information that has to be in the print. Like, you have to have both things. You have to have the information that you're gonna have at the hearing as well as the hearing date.
So we can set the date for the hearing here, right now.
And say that the stuff the selectmen sent you, plus whatever changes you guys wanna add.
It's gotta be in more than 2 weeks before that.
Yeah.
So
So what's the hearing on the 19th for?
that would be the public hearing. We have to hold a public hearing for all bylaw changes.
But we need to have the language finalized by the 5th.
Before
Yes.
that.
Probably
Printed by the 5th.
Because it's gotta go out in the paper at least 2 weeks before the meeting.
Yes.
So just the language for what we're gonna discuss at the meeting, not the
Yeah.
language for what needs to be voted on at town hall,
No,
or
what
at
would
the
be,
town meeting.
what would be voted on?
So why
Because it's
bother
gonna
even
go
having
into
a
the
public
paper.
hearing if the language is already in?
So we have to have a public hearing just so we can make our recommendation.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where our recommendation may or may not hold weight, we just make one.
Okay.
And let the public come in and talk about it with us.
But that, but
You get these.
you got one too. What's that?
It was hidden.
This is not fair.
I'll take mine.
Okay, you can have yours back. Now that I got one.
Did Carlos see these?
I wasn't up there.
You didn't
This is, see them?
This is your chance to ratify.
I can't. Yeah, I didn't get the minutes.
You didn't get it?
That's a fact.
Yeah.
You could act on it, because it's already here.
I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for July 18th, 2019 as read, as written.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's the. How many of these do we have to sign?
6.
How?
Just signed it 6 times.
Someday I'm gonna find my stamp.
Does Amy have one yet?
I have one right here.
Stamp?
I don't have a stamp yet, but I know of. I ordered it.
You did?
I went in and told her what I needed to do. Do I need to sign it?
Did you?
I think
I
the,
did
the other one we
I
need
did
is.
my little signature that she needs to, yep.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Yep. Back, like, I don't remember the date now, back in June, maybe May.
Let me get you a copy of these. These are the plates that we were talking about.
Oh, I can make a copy and give them back to you if you would like.
We had more tonight.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make a copy and give them back?
You pull the stable over, we're gonna do it right now.
Yeah, all right.
You got actual subdivision standards
Yeah,
for the roadway sizes?
yeah.
Those look old. The Buicks were 10 feet wide.
There's a cool one up on 106. Have you seen that? Like right over the Plimpton-Kingston line? I don't know. I've never seen like another Buick that looks like it. Thing's wicked cool. It's got to be like early 50s or
Yeah.
something. I don't know if you know how, like, you know what the little hair cutting places? Like just after Webby Engineering on the same side of the road. You go past Kingston Trailers and there's like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
little, yeah, so it's like that guy, I see a lot of like hot rods and things out there. So I think in front of the main house there's a wicked cool looking old Buick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our details are with the manhole bricks in it. Comes.
They still make those. You get a podcast manhole or something.
Yeah, we're gonna have to deny precast. Be like,
Yeah.
we only love
It's newfangled
clay.
technology.
Yeah.
We're catching up.
Thanks.
That's
Maybe
easy.
all things set.
Mark had it set, correct?
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's gonna build a major road with a median that's 100 feet wide? Where is that supposed to go?
What's this?
Where do we have a 100-foot roadway?
Oh, for the bypass road that's going through Halifax.
Yeah. 106 is not even.
No, there was gonna be a bypass on 106.
bypass.
There there was going to be a bypass of 106.
Really? Why?
Where was it gonna go? East west?
It was gonna go just south of 106. It would have cut through, would have been just south of the cemetery on 105. It cut through, would have cut across behind the school and gone right through.
Instead of 44?
Instead of 106 going here. It was, they were gonna have 106 be the country road, and they were gonna have a bypass of 106 go through.
But I mean, that bypass would have been instead of 44, right? 44 isn't even this big. What's the point?
They were thinking big. They were thinking big.
Yeah. I guess so. Like somebody actually spent money to analyze that and put some plans together?
I don't know how much plans they did. It was a preliminary drawing of it.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
You know the big field on 105 was supposed to be a Navy base at one point in time too.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Alright. There's all
They
that.
were talking about moving Logan down there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, there's some weird stuff too. Like if you go down the other end of River Street, and I think it's actually Middleborough, behind that brick factory, there's like an Army Corps of Engineers bridge and everything like out there. For like nothing. It goes into the swamp. Like you built a bridge over a river that leads into a swamp. Like whatever the big plan there was, you can't see it now because.
Something to do
You
with
talking about the one that's right beside the brick factory?
Yeah, so you know the guy who lives next door, and he kind of like uses the thing a little bit, but like if you go down at the end, there's this huge bridge, and it's got all these like military stampings and everything. Like,
Yeah, but the next one over has not been replaced.
oh,
That's why it's dead.
all right. Doesn't look like anything. You know, you go look out there now, and you're like, that wasn't going anywhere.
Everything's all overgrown now.
The CTL doesn't comply with the stormwater standards, right? That's super old. Do we have vertical granite curb anywhere in town?
3 pieces.
Yeah. Just sitting in the DPW yard.
No, we have some on 106.
We did there?
Yeah, there's vertical right there.
Like at the 58 intersection?
Yep. And then what we were doing for the subdivisions was vertical behind the catch basin with two slopes off either side.
I don't know, in my neighborhood, it's super flat at all the low points, and all the water sediment ponds on both sides of the catch basins. Just like it's supposed to be, right?
Pre-treatment, right?
Yes. And I sweep it up.
You don't want it all to go down and be a mess.
Yeah. Alright, are we done?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Second
second.
that.
Second?
Alright.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so is it all?